Hello, grade 5. So we are talking today about our reading information goal sheet, specifically the checklist and how to make this checklist into note cards. In front of me, I have our checklist with our goal of our entire project. So our entire project is about looking at two texts that have the same topic, and how authors craft, so specifically how two different authors compare and contrast, so with summaries and main ideas and supporting details. So our checklist contains everything we need to do in order to get our full 20 points. 4 of those points are group, and 16 of those points are individual. So the focus is on individual work this time, and not just your group, even though that is a part of it. So to help me focus, I have folded my paper to look at just these 16 points for individual. I'm keeping my table handy. You can use your electronic one or your paper one. I'm going to keep it over to the side. Now, my 16 points, I've grouped them. How have I grouped them? I've grouped them by introduction, body, and I found I had a second body and a conclusion. Because when I present my information, I'm introducing it. So, introduction will introduce. I'm going to have some body of my presentation, and I need to leave my readers with a final thought and some concluding ideas. Now, our speech is going to be for 5 minutes. If I look back at my prompt, it says that right here. 5 minutes is what our speech needs to be. A little less, a little more, it's okay. But 5 minutes. So I've grouped my points because I can't just take these 16 points, write them word for word, and put them on note cards. That's not how note cards work. So I've grouped similar bullets. I've noticed that I will need, of course, in my introduction to talk about my two texts. And I want to go ahead and give the main ideas of those texts. So I've grouped those 3 into one introduction. Then I noticed that I'm talking about selected details, a summary with ideas and facts, subtopics and ideas, and I'm also talking about any ideas that were different in some texts. These are all related, so I've grouped them into another body. Next thing I looked at was my compare and contrast with craft. So I noticed craft is here, and then I talk about craft choices here. So I've circled 1, 2, 3 other points that will go into my second body. My concluding thoughts are my last 2 bullets here that are about goals. So my goals will be my concluding idea. My blue and my yellow bullets are my sprinkles. So remember me shaking your paper clips to remind you of sprinkles? You know, the sound of sprinkles on everything. That's what these bullets are for. They're for everything. So I need to remind myself that my vocabulary, my opinions, and my technical vocabulary when talking about goals and craft are going to be through all the bullets. I need to take these, and I need to now take my groups and put them on note cards. So I've got an A4 paper right here. I'm just going to fold my A4 paper into 2 sections. If you want to fold it into 4, you can. I need more space because this is my cheat sheet for when I'm giving my presentation and my speech. I want to quickly be able to look at this and not have to squint and hold it up to my eyes because I can't see it. So I'm going to keep it big, and I only need 2 because I can always write on the back as well. So take my scissors and cut. And before I do anything else, I need to label these. I have a note card number 1 and a note card number 2. The worst thing that could happen in your speech is that you use your note cards and you start with number 2 instead of number 1. Don't end with your speech. Make sure your speech begins before you kill it off. All right. Now, I'm going to take my number 1 and I'm going to look at my introduction bullets. And I'm going to label this. I'm going to have my 2 sections. This is going to be my introduction. So what I can do, since I have 4 sections, introduction, 2 bodies, and a conclusion, I'm gonna go ahead and just draw a line in the middle. It's not perfect. It's my note card. I just need to be able to read it later. It's for me and not really anyone else because it's not their cheat sheet. All right. Just kind of quickly sketched. Now my introduction. I'm going to put it really big for myself, intro. And I'm going to do it like this so I don't get distracted. It's just a way for me to catch the label very quickly when I'm up front in front of everyone. Now my 3 bullets consist of, I need to say what my first main text is, so I'm going to write first main text. Ooh, there we go. Not test, Ms. Beth. And I'll put that here, and I'll also go ahead and put the author's name here. Second main text, and then I'll put the author again. My 3rd bullet is about the main ideas. So main ideas. I'm going to leave these blank, but I can literally take my tables and input my information right here. So I would write the name of my book, the author, the name of my second book, and the author, because I am looking at the authors. I am talking about the same topic. I'm looking at the authors. Now, these, when I write these notes, will be the words that I'm going to say in my speech. So I want to keep this semi-formal, not too casual, but I am talking to an audience that's about my age. So I can keep it a little less formal. So I'm going to call that semi-formal. When I'm writing my note cards, I'm keeping in mind that these are references. These are my cheat sheets. I'm not going to be reading these word for word and have it really close to my face the entire time, because if I did a cheat sheet for a test, which you should never do, if I'm holding my cheat sheet next to my face the entire test, do you think I'm going to get caught? Of course. So think of your note card as a cheat sheet. You don't want to read off of it word for word, but you do want to make sure it helps you get the points from your checklist set. So my next one is going to be my body, and I'm going to take my body's points and do the same thing like I did here. Now I have 4 here, so it's going to be a little more squished. And now I'm thinking I can go ahead and do my 4 quadrants. So just like in math, how you have 4 quadrants, I'm going to go ahead and set up a number 1 here, and I'm going to call that, if I look at my bullet, this is going to be details about the main ideas. So I have a number 1 and a number 2 here, and since I boxed this one, I'm going to put 1 and I'm going to put a 2 to remind me that these are both those texts, and I'm going to say main idea plus details. So these points I'm going to go into right after I say these, so it'll be my first thing I say. I'll even take my orange pen just to make sure I know that I go to this one next. So I'm saying these, and then I'm talking about what details I've found to support that. The next thing I'm going to say is I'm going to relate these together, because I see the word relationships. So I'm going to put a number 2 right here. I'm literally going to go from here to here, and I'm going to relate the points I just said. I'm going to show how they're similar and how maybe they're even different. So this will be the second thing I say after my main ideas and support. The third thing I'm going to do is I have summaries. So I'm going out of order of the way my bullets are lined up, but I'm still making sure I get all those bullets said. So I'll kind of conclude all those subpoints with just a brief summary of both texts. So summary for 1 and summary for, let's see, I guess I could write 2 here, and I'm not giving myself a ton of space. I'm keeping it small because, well, this is a cheat sheet. I'm not writing it exactly word for word. That wouldn't make sense. It's just those main points that I want to make sure I remind myself to say. Now for that 4th bullet, it's similarities and differences right here. So I noticed that it could kind of go with this relation. I could say it when I relate because I'm talking about similarities and differences. So I'm just going to put sim and diff to make sure I talk about that right here. So it's going to be part of my number 2. So really, I'm saying all 4 of those bullets, but in 3 sections. My next index card. I need to do my second body. So number 2, body, and then I'll do my conclusion. Conclude. My second body is going to be all about craft. So I'm going to compare and contrast my author's craft. So I need to look at specifically perspective and structure, because that's what's written. So I'm looking at craft. I'm going to make it very big to make sure I say this word, because my sprinkles. And I'm going to compare, so calm, and contrast, con. Calm, con, compare, contrast. I'm doing my notes. So I want to talk about the perspective of the authors for 1 and 2. Remember my books, 1 and 2. And my structure for 1 and 2. So I'm going to leave myself some space to write. And what if they had a different perspective or structure? So what if they were different perspective? So my notes for perspective or structure. And I left myself some space. That's my second body. My conclusion is all about goals. So I'm going to write goals really big to make sure I remember to use that word. And I only have 2 bullets, so I'm just going to kind of put those in note form here. What or why are they writing for? So what is the author writing for, and why is the author? What is, I should say are, because there's 2 authors. And if I put is on here, I might accidentally say it incorrectly. So why are they writing, and what are they writing for? And my last one is, how does their craft support their goals? How does their craft support their goals? Now, these are not my neatest note cards ever. My second one is a bit messy. My first one is also a bit messy, but I can always redo these a little neater once I have my answers. I can even type these up really quick. So basically, these are my rough draft note cards, or they can be my final note cards because they are for me. If I want to go in and highlight as I'm practicing these note cards, if I find there are words that I'm really stuck on, I can highlight those so I remember, hey, say this word. Now, as you complete these, remind yourself that they are for your reference. They are not for you to read word for word. They're not a script. They are a reference. So refer to them, look at them quickly, and then keep talking to your audience. That's the most important conversation. I hope this helped. I'll see you again next time.